goes live this time. We're good.
We're live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Kudos live event for Thursday evenings with Matt Allen, Clifford Starks, and Jason Wilson. This is like the dream team for me. These are my brothers. These are my friends. I am so happy to have all three of us in the room together. I am forever pestering them both to say, look, let's get together. Let's have a chat, because I love talking to these two guys. They are phenomenal. So I just want to introduce myself a little bit first, and then we'll cut to them, and then we'll have a discussion about the subject for this evening, and then eventually we'll get to a few people who have joined us. They'll get to say hello. Hopefully you can join us too. So I am Matt Allen. I am founder of Kudos. If you don't know what Kudos is, that is because probably you have not had a conversation with me. Kudos is a very new thing that I'm not prepared to discuss on open unless I have a discussion with you face to face, or at least Zoom to Zoom, and you can be confident about getting the truth about what it is and not having difficult situations arise because other people find out what it is and take advantage of it. It's something for all of us, something that benefits us all, and it's something that's going to make big changes for the future. So that's me. We'll go to Clifford first. Clifford, introduce yourself, my good man.
What's up? What's up? So I am a business consultant. I am a trusted advisor. I am a person who looks out for people, and the way I look out for them is using my 2 ears and my 1 mouth. I know when to listen twice as much, and then I speak when I figure out what to say. Life's hard. It's the hardest game that we play, but it's also filled with amazing experiences. And I look to have amazing experiences with amazing people on the journey. So if I can either support you or point you into a direction where someone can support you, that's the game that I play. So if you're interested in having a connect, let's go have a conversation, and schedule 2 hours for it, because I will say this much. I listen very deeply and intently, and people always have more to bring to the table than they really think that they do.
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to say that I've been so shortchanged because the first conversation we had was for 15 minutes. It was on Christmas Eve or something like that, I think it was. So I think you had other priorities, but I want a bit of extra time next time that we have a chat together, okay?
Yes,
Jason, would you like to tell everybody who you are? Or can I do it?
Yes.
But if I do it, I'll butcher it, so probably better if you do it.
All right. Yeah. Either way, but I'm Jason Wilson. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and my friend Cindy's in the audience. What's up, Cindy? So I'm a mental wellness advocate. I'm the founder of Circle of Friends Club. I'm also a podcast producer and podcast editor, social media manager. I love to meet people. I have maybe I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 meetings a week, face to face with people that I meet through Donald Cohen's show, through Matt, through Clifford, a little bit of everybody on LinkedIn. So feel free to contact me through LinkedIn. I would love to meet you and maybe help you with your social media goals, podcast goals, or whatever would have you. Nice to be here. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Why are you waving? You're not going yet. Trust me, you're staying. Well, at least I hope you are. So, without a moment of just pause, let's get into the discussion, because we've got a few people joined us in the waiting room. So we'll get on with discussing what we need to discuss, and then we'll go over to them, say hello. Maybe they want to ask us some questions or tell us some of their opinions as well, or just to say hello and tell us a little bit about them. So this evening's conversation, this evening's chat, gentlemen, as you full well know, is what's happening to the American dream. Is it still real? Is it still something tangible? Is it still something that's possible for people to be able to look at and think, I can make a change, I can make a difference, I can achieve my goals, I can make something from nothing, I can make this thing happen? Or has it gone too far and it's gone too difficult to be able to do those things? Are there too many barriers? Is there too many difficulties? And is it going to take a real miracle for somebody to get through that? And the question is, if that is a miracle that they need to happen, what does that miracle look like? What do we think they need to do to get to that point? So I'll tell you about my opinion of the American dream. My American dream idea, if you like, came from when I was little. You two gentlemen both know that I had a difficult upbringing from my point of view. Other people involved with that might think that it was perfectly good upbringing. My point of view was that it was not. And my point of view was that I wanted to escape where I was at. And one of the ways that I looked at that was America looks like a dream place to be. It looks like a place of opportunity, the land of the free and hopeful. And I would like to go there and start my life again. So when I was quite young, I used to dream about going to America, living there, figuring out a job that I could figure out how to do. My life really is about solving problems. And I thought, I can solve some problems over in America. I can find a way to make myself some money, find myself some new friends, find a new, happier life than what I had here in England. Thankfully, we have the internet, and I've managed to find a couple of decent friends. You guys, that's you guys. And I'm doing my business from the UK currently, but that might change. So what about you guys? What do you think the American dream means to you guys? What's your experience of that? How do you feel about it?
Well, I also want to say, Jason, you're on mute too. The American dream for me is a dream. And when I say a dream, I say everybody deserves a dream. You know, one of my favorite speakers was Martin Luther King. And he said, I have a dream. He didn't say I have an American dream. He didn't say I have an African dream. He said, I had a dream. I have a dream. And when we dream, things come into existence. We figure out what to do. We figure out whether we have to move somewhere, because we may. You know, environment does play a role. But a dream's a dream. And if you have it, you hold on to it. And when you hold on to it, you'll start finding resources in ways you never thought you would find those resources. So do I believe the dream's still alive? Absolutely, I do.
Good man. Jason?
I think the American dream represents anything that's in relation to your purpose. I think that dreams come from God, and so does your purpose. So if you're in hot pursuit of whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, whether that's in America, whether it's in South America where I am, or any place in the world, it's possible. I think that the only thing that's really, really important is your belief system. If you believe in it, it's achievable. So fear can have anything to do with your mindset. I think eliminating any kind of fear in pursuit of your dreams is really, really important. So your belief system, how much faith you have, is imperative.
Good. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that really we think the dreams are possible anywhere. Dreams are essentially what we believe in. Maybe when I was younger, I had hope rather than belief. I was hoping for some strange change in my life. And so I latched onto something that I thought was a dream. And maybe that's a misconception that I had back in those days, like many misconceptions that I had about something that I hoped would exist, would be there for the future. And that would be the answer to my problems. Now, looking back at that, I don't think hope is enough. I think, like you two gentlemen have said, it's about belief. It's about believing in what you want to do. It's about having, whether you want to look at it as predestined or an option that you've come to in your own choices. That's a very different debate. But having a belief in what you want to do, having your own dream that you believe that you want to make happen, and then not just making it happen because you believe in it, but making it happen because you apply yourself to it. So you two gentlemen know a lot about positive thinking and about, Jason, you deal with sort of mental health aspects, and Clifford, you deal with sort of coaching and encouraging people to a large degree, and a lot of aspirational things that help people to understand where they should be and get to the point of achieving what they believe in and their dreams. So what about you two, gentlemen? What sort of advice, what sort of things do you think are important from that point of view? What brings you to belief is the key, and how can people believe and achieve, I guess?
Do you want me to go, Jason? Okay, looks like I'm going.
Sure, go ahead.
I was about to say, this is the first time that this has ever happened to me. Either
So-
one of you in a room and nobody's talking. Something wrong there.
Think we're being super, super polite to each other and trying not to like, you
Exactly.
want to go? I want to go. You want to? So what I'd say is it starts with knowing where you're at and knowing where you want to be. That's it. Keep it super, super simple, because I think we overcomplicate life sometimes and say like, it feels too far, it feels too big, it feels too much. Well, start chopping it down, start figuring it out, start getting specific with it. And that's the beauty of having a SMART goal. It's specific, it's measurable, something that's obtainable. You're not going to be like, I want to try and fly by flapping my arms really, really fast and jumping off of a cliff. It's got to be something obtainable and realistic. And then you put a timeline on it. And from there, if you don't get it, you learn lessons on how to, like, okay, it didn't happen. So what do I do next time? Where do I adjust? What do I measure? What do I go after? How do I get the traction that I need? But yeah, it's really simple, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's easy. It's a process, but it does mean that when you do it enough times, even hard can become easy. And that's, as a coach, that's what I serve as a reminder too. Not only am I a coach, but I've been coached by many on the journey, and the process was a hard process, but man, was it worth it. Every bit of it was worth it, because I learned the lessons that I needed to learn, and I became the person that I needed to become as I went through my process. And I continue. It's like a world of new becomings too, because I'm not done becoming the greatest version of myself. It's action steps.
Cool
So
stuff.
for my end, I mean, I've had a completely different experience, since I've left home, and I've been here in Colombia for the past 20 years. So part of my experience has been as an ESL teacher, teaching English as a second language to executives here in Colombia. And a lot of people now, especially now, have the dream of leaving Colombia, going to the United States, going to Canada, going to England, where you're at, Matt, and starting a life completely from scratch and building their lives completely over again. So a lot of these people have the belief that going to the United States is the American dream. I mean, it's the best thing you can do. Why on earth would you leave the United States and come down here? Some people think. But I mean, to me, I wanted a completely different experience. But for them, I mean, it just represents success, prosperity, and everything else, which it does. I'm not saying that it doesn't. So they have a completely different perspective. And I think that perspective is the most important thing when it comes to relocation, when it comes to achieving your dreams, setting goals. Your perspective is everything. So they have the kind of perspective that I think everybody in the state should have when trying to accomplish their dreams. But, you get so distracted by everything in the news. I mean, nothing in the news is positive, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't watch it personally. So turn off the news, set your goals, and work towards those goals. It's great to have a dream, right? But you have to work.
Yeah.
You have to stay positive, keep a positive mindset. And for me, it's prayer. I don't do anything without prayer. So that's my take.
I want to bounce off of that real quick too, because you talk about the perspective. And one thing that I realized on my journey, there's a saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, grass is just grass. Like you have your good times, your high times, and you definitely got to have those low times. And I had one person say, man, does life ever laugh at you? And I broke out even hearing that question, because I go all the time and I just point back and laugh because there's nothing else to do. I mean, I could cry about it, but
Yeah.
might as well laugh. Like, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. So I sometimes relate to this in this sense. And I did this recently with Tara LaFongoose. I don't know if you guys know her.
Yeah.
So we were in a session that was about branding and personal branding on LinkedIn, and we were talking with a group, and I was just in there, and we talked about the journey and about how to get to your goals and things like that. And really, a goal can be seen as a destination and your journey. And Clifford, we quite often talk about this, like the vehicle that you use to get there, and then the journey in that vehicle and what that looks like, how it feels, and those sorts of things. And Jason, you said about like people want to sometimes move to different countries because they see that as some achievement or some access into looking for a dream that they have and the answers that might give them. Sometimes we think about one destination as being the final destination. And quite often we need to be able to think, well, that's only the destination until we get there. And every time that we get to a new destination, there's another one for us to aim for, another dream to have, another thing to believe in, another hope to have, and something more to work for. And those are the things that are important for me, is not just changing willy-nilly, or a word that people like to use is to flip or to pivot in business because you need to think about the next thing. But it's about building and taking steps on a journey. And sometimes you get to a journey's finish that you think is the finish, when really it's just the beginning. And that's the beauty of life. That's what you were talking about, Clifford, about you're always going to be a better man because you're always looking to improve and find the best Clifford that there is. Incidentally, you're the best Clifford that there is at the moment, definitely. I'll vouch for that. You too, Jason. But you're the best Jason, not the best Clifford. He's the best Clifford, you're the best Jason. This is getting complicated now. But you understand what I mean. It's about a journey, and it's not always about the destination that you have in your mind when you set off. It's about the destination that you keep pushing yourself towards, for me. So Jason, you're quite inspirational to me. I think you know that.
Thank you.
So one of the reasons why I like to talk to you is because in the past, like many people, and even presently, there's many people, and we've talked about the future. Potentially, there's going to be a lot more people with mental health issues and difficulties. You have any sort of top tips that you can give to people about being focused on their goals and their dreams and their aspirations and things like that? Is there something that you can give us that's words of wisdom from a wise man?
Yes, absolutely. When it comes to mental health, a lot of people have been through traumatic situations in their life, and I think in a lot of cases it starts when you're a child. Um, in some cases, people have traumatic situations that they can't remember, but they're still affected by it as an adult, and they don't even know what that traumatic situation is until they go to therapy, and it starts to unravel, and they can find out through help with a coach, a therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist. They can find these things out. But I think that as an adult, you have a choice on how affected you can be by these experiences. You can choose to move past it and forgive the situation in the past, forgive yourself for whatever situation that you've been through, and you can start again. So I think that forgiveness is a huge thing that stops people from moving past traumatic situations. Another thing is your belief system again. Is your belief system based on faith, or is it based on fear? Now, the thing about fear is that it will keep you trapped in the past to those traumatic events. So that's why fear, I don't care what level you look at fear on, it's not a good thing, because it's going to keep you trapped in the past, and you won't be able to achieve your goals. And who does it affect? It affects you. It affects your family, your friends, your business associates, everybody surrounding you. And so another aspect about this is that, who are you surrounded by? Who are the people most closest to you? Are these people encouraging? Are they lifting you up on a daily basis, speaking life into you? Or is it all negative? Is it complaining? Is it, you didn't do this 20 years ago, and they keep reminding you of these things? I mean, who you're surrounded by is very important. That's
Yeah.
just a few tips.
Well, look who I'm surrounded by. I'm fairly solid at the moment. I
Yeah,
think I've got this
exactly.
covered.
Yep.
uh, Talking about that, so Jason, you've given us some very good, wise inputs there. Clifford, you are the man with the analogies. And last time we had a very interesting analogy about kissing. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that you've got one about kissing, because that's my favorite subject. And I want to prove that I'm better than you two at kissing. Maybe not prove, but yeah. Anyway, kissing's good. So you tell us
Yeah.
about an analogy.
I don't know if I
Kissing.
have one
Kissing.
for kissing at the moment, but I would talk about a
How do
garden.
I put you on mute?
A garden specifically. And one thing that's really, really interesting is everything starts with acceptance. When you can accept it, you can look at it. If you can't accept it, you're just not going to look at it. Certain things may trigger you, and you don't want to look at those things. And instead of saying like, well, why does this trigger me? Why is this doing this to me? Um, that's the beauty of the game. And I actually remind people to lean into their triggers, to go into the trigger just to see, hey, who am I and why am I this way? Why do I respond this way? Why do I act the way that I act? So when we accept something, whether it's a beautiful looking garden or the garden looks absolutely trashed, we can look at it and say, this is what we're dealing with right now. And from acceptance comes awareness. You can look at all the spots, all the good places and all the bad places, and look at it deeply and fully. And from acceptance to awareness is transformation. Once you get those two in place, now you can go through a transformational space. And with Jason speaking on mental health, I just want people to accept themselves, to say, hey, I'm a human having a human experience, and it's okay. And whether I'm outrageous or anxious or scared or afraid or ego driven or cocky or whatever it may be, this is who I am. But who do I want to be? Asking the question, who do I want to be? Because some of these people show up and they don't even want to be the people that they are, but they're so used to being that person, they don't know any other way. And no one ever points them. No one ever gives them any solution. They just say, this is the way you are. I don't want to deal with such and such. This person is irritating. Just toughen up. Take the time to really listen to a person and see, do they even want to be who they are? And if they do, great. Wish them luck and celebrate them. And if they don't, show them how they can be different.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah.
It is. And to be fair, both of you have talked about having people alongside of you, surrounding yourself by the right people, having the people that are alongside of you to give you the right advice, to ask you the right questions, to point you in the right directions. And just going back to the thing about traveling a journey and looking at not just one destination, but other destinations, is we mentioned about the vehicle that you're in, and are you in just like a motorbike where you're sat on there by yourself, or are you in a car, like a convertible car where there's just two of you and you're all lovey-dovey because you're in a convertible car, maybe kissing a little bit, like it's all about kissing, really. That's all that I'm talking about.
I mean, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Or are you in a bus with many people? And sometimes that bus can be a little bit confusing because there's too many voices and things like that. It's about working out where you need to be at and who those people are that should be alongside of you, and who the best voices are to listen to.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easy for us to give input. And like Clifford said right at the very beginning, it's much more important to be able to listen as well as to speak. That for me is an important thing. I think in some ways we've gotten off topic a little bit, but in other ways
I mean, this is great. I mean, that's all right.
Yeah, I think we survived. So I think that'll do for this evening. For us, what about some visitors? What about finding if somebody else has got some interesting opinions, or they just want to come on and say hello and talk about kissing, maybe, or some other subject? I don't know. So, Clifford, do you know this lady? Possibly. Jason, you definitely do. Clifford, do you know Lachelle?
Yeah.
Lachelle?
America's Supermom. This lady.
I sure
do.
And
here she is. Hey, Lachelle.
Yeah.
Hey. Lachelle, thank you very much for coming along. I didn't expect that you would have time because you have so many children to feed and look after, and so much work that you do. It puts people like me to shame who just sit around doing nothing all day. So I am very pleased and honored to have you along. These two gentlemen, as soon as I showed you on the screen, I saw their smiles. So how are you doing this evening?
I am doing well, and I want to thank you so much for having me. And I was just kind of having a flashback when Clifford was speaking, because I saw his, I can't see if it was a daughter or a son, but when I first met him, he would come to meetings and he'd be holding the baby all and just so loving and, just networking with the baby. We were all goo-gooed over the baby. So I was just thinking, how old is that baby now? So to see the baby in the background, that is just awesome. Okay.
2 years old now.
That is right. I mean, it was just so precious. But so that's how far I go back with Clifford. And we were in a comic book together series. So that was another life, it seems like. It seems like it's been forever. But
talk about what?
It was superheroes related to, it's this metaverse in the making. That's how I put it, right?
Yeah. All had our own personal.
That's a whole other topic, cool. Right?
See, you learn something about people every day.
Yeah.
Clifford, you're not living this down. You're the superhero.
Yeah, we had our
Michelle,
own
have you got
character.
something? Sorry,
Yeah.
go on. Go on.
Yeah, I was saying we each had our own character, but loving the conversation. One of the things that comes up for me is um, when it comes to the American dream is, letting everybody have the freedom to define it for themselves. For me, that's part of my brand, America's Supermom, because I had to redefine what the American dream meant to me. So I felt like I was in a conflict between being a stay home mom and having a career. And so it wasn't until I was able to kind of marry the two that for me it was a redefinition. And since this global pandemic, where it allowed us to really come together on a global scale with businesses, with collaborations, companies, and just all these different things, I think it's more of a humankind dream. I think it shouldn't be defined based on your geographic location, because I just have found there's so many things that we have in common rather than different. So that would be my addition to the conversation. But I'm just loving everything y'all are saying. I'm over here taking notes. So glad to be here.
So nice to see you, Michelle.
Good to see you too.
It's a pleasure to have you along. I really value everything that you do for me. You were one of my very first connections that started connecting me to other people. And I try and, whenever I can, I try and connect people to you, because I found the help that you gave me just very helpful. And beyond that, we've continued to have a very good relationship, and we keep finding useful people for each other. I think we'd agree. I'm just blown away by how much energy you have for 15 kids. I mean, look at Clifford. He looks worn out, and he's only got how many kids have you got, Clifford?
Just two.
He has a
That's the thing
2-year-old.
then as well, didn't you?
He has a 2-year-old, so that should say enough. Okay, when there's
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
it's like you're running around everywhere. So I get that.
Interesting.
Jason hasn't got children. Jason's got giant. Your
he's
boy
13.
is a grown man, isn't he?
Just
Wow.
about.
Yeah, junior.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, Michelle, it has been a pleasure. I need to get rid of you now and put
Okay.
some
Appreciate you
yours
as
in
always,
that seat.
Michelle.
Is that okay?
Thank you guys so much for having me, and keep up the good work. Love how you guys are always willing to push the narrative. We need to have more bold conversations like this, because so often people are not in alignment with what they believe, and they feel that they don't really have the space to talk about, what their true thoughts and ideas are. So kudos to you guys, and thanks again for having me.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. You take care, yeah?
Take care.
I'll speak to you soon.
Okay,
Have a
bye.
Now
good
I
one.
have to figure out
Bye-bye.
how to get rid of you. Don't take
Just
that the wrong way. I figured it out. Are you
Yep.
impressed? The
Awesome.
technology whiz kid is back in the room. So, moving on, who shall we pick next? So I'm pretty certain that neither of you know this lady. She is a very good friend of mine. I met her through a different group, not even through LinkedIn. This was before I came on LinkedIn, I think. Her name is Lauren. Lauren, are you there? Are you on mute at the moment? Yeah.
Hello, I'm here. How is everybody? Thank you for having me.
We are good. Lauren, this is
How about
Clifford,
yourself?
Hey, Lauren.
and this is Jason.
Hi, sorry I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, so my voice is kind of not really back up to par, but I'm here and listening. So, just some thoughts I had. I am on long-term disability. I have stiff person syndrome, which recently Celine Dion came out with her diagnosis of that in early December. So it kind of blew the world up because it's a 1 in a million condition. Roughly, they think about 7,000 people worldwide have it. So it brought a lot of awareness, which is what I work on my own, there is a foundation, but I am not a part of the foundation. I do support their work. It's called the Stiff Person Syndrome Research Foundation, based in Bethesda, Maryland. But I was living, I guess you would say, the American dream, working in a commercial real estate company. I was there for 16 years. And, everything kind of took a turn when this disease kind of reared its ugly head and put me out on disability. So I'm not able to work at this point. So my American dream is to have a cure for stiff person syndrome, and for more doctors and medical students to be just aware of what it is and that it exists and how serious it is and debilitating it can be. So I've been kind of slowly working on that, but I don't know if I hope this doesn't appear to be negative. One of the things that I kind of found with the American dream is a lot of people are overworked. And while working hard is usually rewarded, and mine was, it's almost also that sometimes you get taken advantage of because you're such a hard worker. So it's kind of like, okay, let's just keep dumping more on this person, to the point where I did finally learn to say no. But I think taking on a lot of work and also trying to work out and to try to have an active social life and spend time with family and travel, and it was go, go, go. I definitely was burning out, and I do feel that contributed to my disability and my disease. There's no scientific evidence of that, but I think the American dream is a real thing, but I think people need to be a little careful with how hard they work and how much they put into work. Because, once you stop working, you realize, well, wait, I'm not my job. I'm a person. And, you kind of start to define yourself by what you do for a living. And then when it gets pulled out from under you, it kind of changes everything, and all your dreams sort of shift. But I agree that you don't have to be in one place to have kind of what you would say is the American dream. You make the best of your situations and try to be as positive as you can and make an impact. But this has changed me in many ways, that I'm more empathetic. I know a lot more about the disability community and how America really has a long way to go with that. So that's kind of just been my experience thus far. I hope I didn't say too much.
Oh, you did. We're going to kick you off now. No, Lauren, I just want to say, so the reason that I know Lauren is because not all the time, but I try and get to a disability group that's based out in the UK. And Lauren very graciously comes to some of the meetings too, even though she's over in the US and her time zones are very different and possibly not that convenient. Lauren and I have quite a bit in common, because one of the things that they thought I might have was, in England they call it stiff man syndrome, stiff person syndrome, same thing, but I display a lot of the characteristics of what Lauren has going on, which is not an easy thing to deal with. And what I'm wanting to say is that Lauren is possibly the most celebrity person in this room, because after a few years, I think, of trying to push the envelope to spread the word, you've been getting in front of cameras and podcasts and talking to people and having photo shoots and all sorts of things going on. You are sat on the zebra on that picture, and I know full well that even if you're not in public life, you are a celebrity to me because of the fact of how you deal with what you have going on. You always have a smile on your face. You always have a cheery word to suggest to somebody else to make their life a little bit happier and easier. And I just want to say that anybody who's not connected to Lauren should be. She's amazing.
Thank you very much. That was very kind, and you're a wonderful person, Matt. Always.
No, that's okay. The check's in the post. You'll get it shortly. Lauren, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to get rid of you now. Somebody else needs to come in. Nice to see you. Take care. Okay, so Lauren was talking about people overworking, and there was a post recently by one of our friends about overworking, and I replied to that post because I don't really work. All that I do is I get to talk to people about wonderful things and wonderful people, and really my life is not about work. It's just about, I've got a simple idea, I just have to try and figure out how to make that happen. It's a bit more than a simple idea, but really it is just simple business. So that person is a dear friend of definitely Jason's. You know Cindy as well, Clifford, I take it?
I do not think I know Cindy, but well, I know a
What?
few Cindys. I don't know if it's Cindy H.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll find out.
Cindy, are you going to come on?
Are you guys
There you
there?
go.
Can you hear me? Hello?
There she is.
Ah,
Good
there we
evening.
go. I was
Your
trying
picture
to
looks
figure
very
this out.
different.
It does. It does. I'm having some issues with this phone. But that's okay. You can hear me and we can keep it moving.
How are
What's
you
up,
doing
Sin?
today?
How are you? I'm doing better. I had a bit of a headache earlier, but I'm doing a lot better.
Oh, no.
I have to say, phenomenal, phenomenal show, guys. You guys are hitting on some fantastic topics. So I'm really impressed, and hats off that everyone is so comfortable with these topics. It's really not something that you see often. Men being comfortable in their own skin and kind of in their own spaces, speaking about vulnerabilities. And I think it's so important that we hear from both sides, about these topics, about mental health, about our perspectives, about our fears, about what we consider our dreams, about closing the gap between real and ideal selves. It's all incredibly relevant, and it's really hearing the male perspective really can't be understated. You're the counterpart. We need to hear what our counterparts think about the same topics that women tend to struggle with. And it's really not, Matt, it's not an American issue. It really is kind of a global and a human concern, where we're all kind of struggling with our own humanity, and finding our place in the world, and dealing with trauma, and how we kind of really perceive the trauma and how we process it, and being able to get through kind of the muck and still feel comfortable connecting with others. It's so hats off. I said a lot, but I needed to get it all out. There was so much said, so there we go.
Cindy, like everybody else that I talk to, I tend to find that you don't say very much when we have our chat, because I tend to do most of the talking. I'm sure you fellas will agree. The initial chat tends to be, you guys tell me a bit about you, then you find out what I do, and we just talk about that for a while. Cindy, I just want to say that, like, I have been enthralled with your posts because they are so deeply rooted into people's psyches and their inner beings that it just reaches inside of me and pulls something out that I didn't even know really was there before.
Oh,
What about
thanks,
you guys?
Matt.
Like, Clifford, do you know Cindy? Is it this
Mm-mm.
Cindy that you know? No.
It's
No,
nice to meet you,
Clifford.
Cindy.
It's nice to meet you,
Oh
Clifford. I
my
have
word.
seen you on several panels kind of all over LinkedIn. So I actually do follow you, Clifford. And I think that you're
Oh, nice.
phenomenal. So, oh,
Can
yes.
I just stop you
Thank
there?
you
You've seen
kindly.
him many times on my panel, not everywhere
Yeah, oh,
else.
yes. Absolutely.
Okay, well, Clifford, you're definitely going to have a chat with Cindy, right? This
Yeah.
is how the magic works, right? And we figured out that you don't know Cindy. You now know her. You're going to have a chat with her, and you're going to figure some stuff out, because the two of you are going to get along great. Trust me.
Yes.
Jason,
Awesome.
you know
I love it.
Cindy. Have a
Yeah.
quick chat with her.
So
Buggy.
I mean, Cindy and I talk every day, just about, right, Cindy?
Really every day, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, Cindy and I met when we were both like coming out of college, really, right, Cindy?
Fresh out of undergrad. Fresh out of
Yeah,
undergrad,
yeah. So
yes. Yes.
so we've been friends for a long time, and she married a good friend of mine from high school, and so we recently reconnected, and we Cindy and I haven't talked in some years,
Right,
and
right.
so
Well,
she was telling me about yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out the math because it has been a while, but for some reason I stay 25, so I don't know, but we'll get to that later.
Cindy,
Yeah.
let's not talk about time with you, huh?
Right. Right.
The lady doesn't
Okay.
understand time whatsoever. Many complex things she understands way more than what I do, but time, yeah,
Right.
doesn't happen.
Yes, my time conversions, well,
No, Cindy's right though. Cindy's right because she came to my 25th birthday party. I'll never forget that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was there.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Right, Cindy, you're going to go because Clifford needs to find things out about you in a private chat, like in a Zoom meeting, to get along and find out things about each other that maybe can help each other with, maybe can benefit each other in some way, even if it's just because you have become friends and you know who each other are when you see each other commenting when I've tagged you into my posts. Okay.
well, I look forward to it, Clifford, and thank you so much for having me. Again, you all doing a great job. Keep up the great work. You're really having an impact, and hats off. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. You take care. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care of that head.
Take care.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
I actually got to bounce out too because I'm hearing a yell in the background. So I'm gonna
okay,
go check.
you got to go, bro.
You guys
Okay.
have a good one.
No problem. You take
All
care.
right,
I'll see you
take care.
soon. Right, Jason, we have one last person. I
Okay.
presume that you know Lydia.
Yes, yes.
Hello, Lydia.
Hey, Lydia.
My miracle on two legs.
It sounds really weird to so many people. Anyway,
You know what it means. I know what it means.
But it would have been great to say hi to Clifford also, but we talk. So yeah. So it's great to be here. It was great to hear all you guys and all of the mindset, because it's so important. After hearing everybody, I've got so many things to bounce off of. This is going to be really difficult to put in a nutshell, but I will just, I'll just say, I guess about me, I'm a lifelong performer, and I've been a performance coach as part of that for a long time as a performer and composer. And now I'm putting a lot of my life into being a grounding, healing coach. Same thing, removing barriers, because I've been removing barriers for a long time to get people to be able to shine on stage when there was something holding them back. But now it's just people who are having devastating pain because it's just all there. I can help remove those barriers to healing, because we can heal ourselves, and it's just amazing what we can do. So what I'm seeing in this American dream, and this dream that we have, is partially that we have, at least in the United States, and actually in a lot of the civilized world, we have this predisposition toward putting one another in boxes. And when we start to take that away and just do what we want to do and find our true selves, that is where we just start to shine. So, the neurodivergent population, let's just take take that. I am part of the neurodivergent population. And I would, no matter what, never say that I was neurotypical, because I'd like to point out, I'd like to ask, what is a neurotypical individual? What's a typical individual? We have a bell curve, I guess, right? So we might say that this is a typical individual in what the typical individual likes as far as a car type. Okay, perhaps the typical individual likes this variety of car, but the typical individual doesn't like this variety of car, and this variety of dog, and this variety of drink, and this variety of man, and this variety of woman, and this variety of sports, and this. No. And we don't all think the same way. And we don't all have the same passions. We don't each have the same backgrounds. Our ancestors were born of the sands and of the sea and of the mountains and of the tundras, and of the woods and of the rainforests. We come from very different places, and we ourselves were born of those different places and of those different people. But we each long for what it is that we are here for. And we find that we need to find those reasons for being. And when we find that, and something seems to take that away from us, we want to know why, and we respond to those. So, that dream, if we're following that dream, no matter where we are, we're good. But when we have something where we're questioning that, and we give in to those things that stop us, like Jason was saying, when we can connect with someone, a coach, a spiritual leader, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, it doesn't necessarily matter. This is where we each need to foster that ability in one another to listen, really listen. This listening is it's an egoless act, and it's not that we don't each have an ego. It's just that we have to put it on the shelf for a moment, just for a moment, in order to listen and hear the story, witness the story, the heart and the soul of that other person, in order to understand. And when we each get that experience of being witnessed, then we can go forth and find some connections, find the way to our dream. When we put ourselves in a box, because there are some boxes out there, there are a lot of boxes out there, it makes it difficult. So I would encourage everyone, if you find you're in a box, sure, find other people that are in that box, but also talk to people. Find people who will listen, and also take the opportunity to listen. Because there are so many ways that we can get outside of the box, and find that we can get to the outsides of the bell curve too, to where we can be experienced as revolutionary in that little thing that we do, where we can give our voice and have a small group of people that really support us and witness us. And if I can help, if you have devastating pain, I will witness you, and I will help you heal. I know how to do that. So thanks for a beautiful conversation, you guys. You guys really listen, and you really put the heart of what you do into everything you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. Jason, you got any thoughts?
I mean, Lydia is a beautiful person, right? I mean, she's
Yes.
awesome.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys are wonderful.
Oh, we're all going to cry. Does anybody got any tissues?
Now, don't cry now.
Lydia, you and I have known each other for, again, you're one of the first people that I met, I think. Not the first, but like when I'd been on LinkedIn for a few months, we managed to find each other. I think it was through the unicorns. I think, but I might be wrong. That seems like a very
Maybe
long
I think
time
it was
ago.
before the unicorns, perhaps. But yeah, I simply saw what you were doing, and I decided we should meet.
Yeah.
And I hopped on and listened, and you hopped on and listened to me, and we both said, "Oh."
Even before we started listening, it was like we knew that there was something that we had in common, and that thing was something to do with pain and difficulty from our experiences. And I think sometimes that's an interesting relationship that people can form, is that you can listen without even somebody saying a word. Like you can tell things from people. In psychology, we talk about body language and micro expressions and things like that. But just understanding people, that's the important thing. Being able to listen, not just with your ears, but with your eyes, and whether they're bad like mine or as good as other people's. And other people suffer worse than what I do. But the thing is that we all need to relate to each other. I did a post earlier with my friend Khalil about Ramadan, and that was really about, I'd known Khalil for a long time. We didn't talk for a long time because of certain issues in his life, and I've always been too busy, to be honest. I'm sort of not very understanding with people sometimes, but we'll move on from that. I have been a good friend with Khalil, and Khalil has supported me for a very long time. What I want to say about that is that really it's about understanding each other and relating to each other, whether we see each other, whether we listen to words from each other, or it's just we read the posts that people put and we understand that they relate to us because we understand those words and they relate to our lives. LinkedIn, which is where I mostly exist, is a two-dimensional place. Sometimes there's videos, sometimes there's pictures. You do amazing pictures all the time, Lydia, on your posts. But it's about the words sometimes, and understanding where somebody comes from and understanding if somebody's being genuine. And that for me is the important thing, is about being genuine, being honest, being grounded, and understanding where the other person's coming from, listening to other people, reading their posts, reacting to them, writing something back, something that relates to them, and then having a conversation like we all have, and really understanding how we can benefit each other. That's what I do. I just want to say, Lydia, it's been a pleasure every time that I've met you, and I would recommend you to talk to anybody and everybody that I know. I'm going to have to get rid of you because we have one last person, a new friend of mine. Unfortunately, I'm the only person who can see the people in the boxes. Trust me, there is somebody else, Lydia. I'm not just getting rid of you.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's always good to see you, Jason. And maybe you'll get Clifford back.
It's always a pleasure to see me as well.
Take care.
Yes, it is. And I see you quite often.
Yeah.
More often than I see Jason, however.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a relief, because I thought you were going to say more often than what I'd like, but that's good. Thank you. See you again soon. Bye.
Right, yeah.
This, Jason, I don't think that you know this lovely lady called Pauline. You should. Have you met?
No, not yet.
We haven't met yet, Jason, but I have talked to you on LinkedIn about Men of the Future Now, which I talked to Matt about. I think we're both men of the future.
a little bit cryptic for other people, you definitely want to talk to Jason. If I know a thing or two, Jason knows a thing or two about the things that I know a thing or two about. Yeah, I think that just about sums that up and describes the situation. Pauline, you are one of my newest friends. We only just spoke a couple of days ago. It was very strange because we sort of talked, then we sort of didn't, then we sort of talked again, and then there was many people dottering about because I was sort of at my day job. Do you want to tell people a little bit about you, or you have some thoughts about the things that we've been talking about? Or
Well, I'm not sure what you've been talking about because I came on to the whole thing too late. But if it's about is the American dream, is it possible, or will we need a miracle? I definitely think it's a miracle, but I do believe in miracles. So I also believe in magical conversations. So what I mean by that is conversations without judgment, without anger, and without too many controls, so that we create a freedom to express ourselves without being grabbed by the throat. And I think is the American dream, is it possible? I think that could be very contentious to a lot of people, but do you believe in miracles? Then I think it opens up people's imagination, which is what I'm fascinated by, because the world's in a pretty bad state. And if we don't look for a miracle, or we don't use our imagination, and actually having conversations without judgment is a beautiful challenge.
Yeah, definitely. Jason, you have any thoughts about that?
One thing I want to share is that it's a space between us. That's why I say to people, a conversation is not in here. It's in the space between us.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jason? Is that a good idea?
That's very true, yes.
Because the space between us is an unknown space, especially when we don't know each other. And then it's like we're all making a cake. We're all making the miracle. We're all putting wishes into the miracle cake. And we're saying, let's stir a bit of this in, bit of Jason, bit of Matt, bit of Pauline, bit of everybody else. And, let's put all the goodness and joy and love and wishes for a future. If we could make anything we want, a miracle for me is saying there's a blank sheet and we could have anything we want.
And the beauty of that is that because we are all unique, we're all slightly different in whatever way it is, whether it's because of the experience that we've had, because of where we've grown up, because of all sorts of different factors that come into different people's lives in different ways and at different times, and the impacts that those things have and the varying impacts that they have because we react in different ways to different situations. All of those things make us so unique, and yet we're all part of that cake together, and we're all effectively that cake. We are all human beings, even though we're all slightly different or very different. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And if you make the cake with anger, you'll get an angry cake.
Yeah.
Oh, not with me.
So my passion is authentic harmony. So we're on a cake of authentic harmony, or an orchestra piece of authentic harmony. So what kind of cake do you want? What kind of music do you want? That's what I talk to my clients about, is don't keep looking at the past and saying, I burnt the last cake, or I played the wrong music. No, we're going to play the right music. We're going to make the right cake. We're going to create the right miracle. But we don't say, I'm right. We say, how do you see it? And then we listen. Yeah. And we may hear things we don't like, but then we go, that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. And that's the important thing. By listening, we listen to those other perspectives. And suddenly those perspectives that we thought before, I'm not really over keen on those raisins that we're going to put in the cake. But then once that we sit back and we realize, actually raisins go quite nicely with this bit of nut that we're putting in as well. Obviously in that equation, I'm the nut. But if it mixes together and it works, that's the important thing. We get together, we form a cake that is yummy for everybody that's in the cake. And that for me is all about life, all about our journey, all about where we should be heading is benefiting us all, like I keep saying. It's about all of us being part of the miracle because we are all the miracle. It's just
That's right. And one of the things I'd offer is that we need to believe in the miracle, even though we don't know what it is. And we can't predict it. We have to set the intention. And I think we also have to consider, I thought about this several times today, is that a lot of people, somebody asked me, how do you deal with naysayers and doubters? And I answered by saying, well, naysayers and doubters are all my brothers and sisters. They maybe just don't know what they don't know. And they maybe even don't know that they don't know. And so, you know, it's about being open to saying, well, what could be? You know, if we had a blank sheet, we need to get everybody to come in. So we haven't got all the old stuff. We haven't got, you know, violence in the ward. We haven't got discrimination. We haven't got marginalization. We haven't got wars. Actually, how are we going to create it is a really wonderful miracle.
Yeah.
Because it's not straightforward.
And the world is then filled with possibilities, and the realization that those possibilities are all of us, and the things that we want to create, the things that we want to drop into that cake and mix together and bring from our own personal experience and our own personal miracle.
Absolutely. And I run at University of Entrepreneurship, apart from Corporate Art International, but we in the university, we say it's about an opportunity seeker, not a problem solver.
Yeah.
So people who say there's problems in the world, yes, there are problems. But if we say we're an opportunity seeker, within which we find solutions, but we invite everybody to come and help us with no judgment, with an open mind, with love, and no anger and no controlling, we'll find a lot of richness, I can assure you. I've been running magical wisdom circles for years, and I'm always surprised at what I hear, whether it's old, young, different cultures, different sexual preferences, different color, whatever it is. I'm always in there to be surprised. So I say to people, just be surprised.
Allow it to happen. No problem with that. Pauline, I'm going to have to get rid of you because we've already 10 minutes overdue. Thank you very much for coming along, though. I appreciate it because you are an incredibly busy lady. I'm looking forward to speaking to you again. I definitely will connect you and Jason together in a little group chat later on before
nice
we go
to meet you.
And we'll definitely do the Men of the Future interview. I'm just going to get myself organized, but I will look forward to that, Jason. Matt, bye for now.
Good to see you, Paul. You take care. Bye. Okay, Jason, do you want to tell quickly how people can get hold of you? Is it just on LinkedIn, or are you somewhere else as well?
Well, I'm on Instagram and Facebook with Circle of Friends Club US. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram with those handles. But the easiest way is here on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
this is where I live, so it's all good.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Listen, I have thoroughly enjoyed having you on this evening, like I knew that I would. It is always a pleasure for me to speak with you. Anybody who's watching and they don't know who you are and they can't find you on any of those platforms, I can connect you to Jason through LinkedIn. I'm sure that anybody that I bring to him, he'd be more than glad to have a chat with. Jason, thank you very much. Everybody who has turned up, everybody who has listened, everybody who listens in the future and watches and even just comments on the posts that Jason or I do and Clifford and anybody else, really, let's get together. Let's listen to each other. Let's talk to each other. Let's figure out what our magic is, what our miracles are, and how we can share them together. And let's think about the dreams that we can make, the destinations that we can reach, and the miracles that are achievable if we work together as a group, as one, as people, because that's what matters, is people. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to see you this evening. Take care, my friend. Remember, everybody, you are the miracle.